All right, let's talk about a band whose sound is literally everywhere, even if you don't know their name. Today, we are diving deep into the story of the band that basically built the foundation for an entire genre of music. We're talking about the Meters. You know, the Vermont Review really hit the nail on the head with this one. The Meters didn't just play funk music, they practically invented the groove. I mean, we're not talking about just another band here. These guys wrote the actual blueprint for what makes a song funky. And that's the real puzzle with the Meters, isn't it? They are, and this is no exaggeration, one of the most influential bands of all time. So, why aren't they a household name like, say, James Brown or Sly and the Family Stone? Well, that's the mystery we're going to try and solve today. To really get their sound, you have to go right to the source. Their whole story, their rhythm, their entire vibe. It's completely inseparable from their hometown, that one-of-a-kind musical melting pot, New Orleans. And here they are, still laying it down decades after they first got together. You can just feel that effortless cool they had from the very beginning. But to really understand them, we've got to go all the way back. Let's meet the original crew. So these are the Architects. Back in 1965, these four guys came together and formed a just perfect musical unit. You had Art Neville on the keyboards, kind of the soulful leader of the group. George Porter Jr. on bass, whose bass lines are so deep in the pocket, they're legendary. Leo Nocentelli on guitar with that sharp, stanky, cutting style, and the engine behind the whole operation, Joseph Zigaboo Modeliste on the drums. So what was their secret ingredient? Well, it was something you can only find in New Orleans: second-line rhythms. Just picture the sound of those street parades, right? That syncopated, kind of rolling beat that you just can't help but move to. The Meters took that raw energy, stripped it down to its bare essence, and built a whole new kind of funk on top of it. And man, did they become masters of the instrumental hit. In '69, Sophisticated Cissy and the absolute stone-cold classic Cissy Strut shot up the R&B charts. And they kept that fire going into 1970 with Look Pie Pie and Chicken Strut. It just proves you don't always need a singer to make a massive impact. With that kind of success, it was really only a matter of time before the rest of the world started to catch on. So let's jump to the mid-'70s, when this New Orleans groove machine got discovered by some of the absolute biggest names in rock and roll. So get this, their rise to the world stage is like something out of a movie. In 1975, Paul McCartney hires them to play his album release party. Okay, cool enough. But Mick Jagger happens to be at that party, he hears them play, and is just completely blown away. Next thing you know, the Meters are opening for the Rolling Stones on their world tours. I mean, just like that, they went from a New Orleans club to the biggest stages on the planet. But here's the thing, it wasn't just about getting famous. While they were touring with the biggest band in the world, they were also at an absolute creative peak. They dropped Fire on the Bayou in 1975, which is just a masterpiece of raw, swampy funk. For a moment there, it really felt like everything was just clicking. Yeah, but you know how these stories often go in music. With that kind of success comes a ton of pressure. And that incredible momentum they had in the mid-'70s, well, it couldn't last forever. The band's journey was about to take a really dramatic turn. It's crazy, right? Even with rock royalty telling the world how great they were, conflicts inside the band started tearing them apart. By 1977, Art Neville and his brother Cyril were out. That original magic was gone, and by 1980, the Meters had officially called it quits. Okay, so after the breakup, their history gets a little messy. And this chart really helps make sense of it all. You can see all these gaps in different lineups. They'd get back together over the years, but in all these different versions, like the Funky Meters or the Meter Men. Sometimes it was 3 of the original guys, sometimes just 2. It was a pretty fractured history, for sure. But the music itself, that never really went away. And this is where the story gets really wild, because after the band officially broke up, their influence didn't just stick around, it exploded. Their legacy started to grow in ways they probably never could have imagined. It's a fair question, right? We keep calling them architects, but what does that actually look like? What does it sound like? Let's look at the receipts. Let's see the hard evidence of their impact on the music we all know and love. Maybe the single biggest proof of their influence came from a whole new sound that was bubbling up: hip-hop. Zigaboo's drum breaks and George Porter Jr.'s bass grooves became the literal building blocks for countless producers. I mean, look at this list. Run DMC, NWA, A Tribe Called Quest, Public Enemy. They all built classic tracks on the foundation laid by the meters. They were like the secret weapon of hip-hop's golden age. And it wasn't just about samples either. Other huge bands were listening, and they were listening closely. Here's a perfect example. The Red Hot Chili Peppers. They took the Meters' 1974 song Africa and straight up covered it as Hollywood, Africa, on their album. That's a direct hat tip from one legendary band to another. But beyond all the global fame and influencing other artists, their music became part of the actual soul of their hometown. To this day, if you go to the Audubon Zoo in New Orleans, you're going to hear their song They All Asked For You. It's become a local anthem. That's a level of cultural impact that is just incredibly rare. It took a while, but eventually the official awards world finally caught up. After getting nominated 4 separate times for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and having Cissy Strut put in the Grammy Hall of Fame, they got the ultimate honor in 2018, the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. It was just this long overdue recognition for everything they gave to music. At the end of the day, the story of the Meters is proof that the deepest influence isn't always the one in the brightest spotlight. Their sound is everywhere, just woven into the DNA of the last 50 years of music. And it kind of leaves you with a final thought, doesn't it? How many other architects of our culture are out there, their work shaping our world, just waiting for the rest of us to discover them?